Welcome to the Fight Chatter Podcast, Episode 6, Version 2. Version 1 didn't come out right. It wasn't, I forgot to do something and it didn't record, or it stopped recording about 5 minutes in. And then I tried doing it again and it was so late it didn't work out right. I listened to it and I didn't like the way it came out, so I decided not to release it. Kind of a backstory. A couple episodes ago I released it, then I listened to it later and I thought that it wasn't really that great. So I decided that last week I'm just not going to put something out that is subpar. Not that everything has to be perfect. I just don't want a lot of incoherent rambling. But I mean, I'm a guy talking about boxing and MMA in a basement, so it could end up being a lot of incoherent rambling, so I shouldn't split hairs like that. Anyways, it is August 15th that I'm releasing this. Wanted to go over a few things. First off, Salt Lake City's Brandon Douglas traveled to Pomona, California this past weekend and faced a firecracker of a prospect, Javier Zamarron. When I saw the fight, I was hopeful for Douglas, mainly because Zamarron had taken a year off. Zamarron had started his career off really quick, had a lot of fights in a short period of time, and then took a year off. He is trains with Robert Garcia down in Southern California, so he does have some of the best trainers, best sparring and whatnot. And unfortunately for Brandon Douglas, that was evident that Zamarron is a step above him. I mean, he's got about 8 years in age, in youth, I guess you would say, a youth advantage on Brandon. And just that being able to be there, train every day with some of the best fighters in the world, you definitely see it. There is definitely a difference between somebody like Brandon and somebody like Javier, who gets to do this as a full-time thing all the time, has money behind him and whatnot. And I'm not saying that Brandon didn't have a shot. Like I said, I had high hopes that he would have a good performance. It's the second fight in a row that Brandon has dropped. He fought Jorge Chavez back in April. He was another undefeated prospect, and hopefully Brandon could make the best of these opportunities. Definitely not getting 80 at 32. He's not getting any younger, and hopefully he gets a few more of these opportunities and he can make good on some of them. He is still just 13-3 with 11 knockouts, so he has a nice record. He could definitely bounce back. He might have to go to Mexico or on one of these local cards to get another win or two to get back into a position where he gets a good money fight. But kudos to him for going out there and giving it his best. So I kind of wanted to go over the All Heart card a little bit. Some of the fights are being announced on Facebook. You could also look up the card as it progresses. There's a lot of fights already listed. Now don't get excited when you look at the fight card on BoxRec. Just keep in mind that fights change, fighters get injured, fighters sometimes take other fights in the interim. For sure, signed is John Castro making his pro debut. That was announced on social media, on the All Heart Promotions Facebook page and Instagram. Definitely go and follow them. I'll put those links in the description as well. And then an interesting fight, Sean Cross taking on Daniel Castro. Daniel's 2-1. Sean, of course, made his pro debut on the Rival Series 2 card. Sean 1-0, Daniel 2-1. Now, Daniel has been sporadic in his boxing career. He had his first couple of fights back in 2015 and 2016, and then he took about another. Then he took 8 months off after his second fight, and then lost, and that was in 2017, and hasn't fought since. So good 8 years between fights. That's never a real positive thing, but you also got to remember Sean only has one fight, so that's going to be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. On BoxRec, it lists John Castro taking on Jacob Diaz. You might remember Jacob Diaz has fought on both Rival Series cards against Bobby DeBille and Eligio Hernandez Jr. And interestingly enough, Bobby DeBille is on this card against Eligio, and that's a fight that they haven't announced on their social media pages, but it is on the BoxRec page, so I will count that as pretty good, pretty accurate. The 1 6-round fight that is listed is Christian Avalos versus Dylan Cervantes Alvarado. Dylan had actually fought on Rival Series 1. He then went and had a couple of fights, one of them a split decision loss in Boise. That was a couple weeks after Rival Series 1, and then he took a fight in at Pachanga in San Diego and lost that one. So he's coming off of a couple of losses, couple of decision losses. And he's going to take on Christian Avalos, who, very similar. He's coming off of a couple of losses as well. A majority decision loss over at Thunder Valley Casino, and then also one in Hollywood, which was on DAZN. So you could definitely look that one up and check it out. The scouting report on Christian is that, well, he's from Carson City, Nevada. And if you guys know me, I'm from Northern Nevada, lived in Carson on and off for 10 years. And he is trained by Jose Elizondo. Jose has a couple of sons, one Gabriel, one Chewy. Both of them had decorated amateur careers. Both of them were nationally ranked in the amateurs. Gabriel had a pretty similar professional record as Christian. Christian is known as a crowd pleaser. Some of his fights have been fight of the night type fights, and comparatively, I believe Dylan was in one of the best fights in the Rival Series. So this is going to be a 6-round fight. It's going to be very entertaining. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing some old friends from Carson, because Jose and the Elizondo boys, they trained in some of the same gyms that I did, Bruno's Boxing and Carson City Boxing Club, back when I lived there. So it would be nice to see all of them. I'm really looking forward to this card. It's going to be September 26th over at the Golden Spike Arena, the Golden Spike Event Center in Ogden. Same as the Rival Series 2. I would really love to see 1,000 plus out there. I know if there's about 1,000 people out there, paid attendance, then I know that Monica and Jason are being profitable on their promotions, and that would be awesome. Third card out to not just be possibly breaking even and whatnot, to actually be turning a profit. Because you get into any business to make a profit. In this case, this helps the whole boxing community, local boxing community, to to give us some local fights, because there hasn't been any active boxing promoters here in the area for a while. It gives us the local fights. It gives the local fighters a chance to build their records, so that way when they go out on the road, they have a better shot at winning fights. And, the moving landscape of boxing, this could actually become a very good local promotion. Some of the things that's going on in politics that might change boxing. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question that we could see the rival series having champions within the rival series. Who knows? I haven't talked to Monica or Jason about that, but I mean, heck, if there are Stillfish champions and Fierce Fighting Championship champions, then definitely we could see rival series champions here in Utah, which would be really cool for one, for a promotion to be able to give out titles to the best fighters that fight in their promotion, but also for the fighters to actually be able to have a promotional title. And it's also nice that the promoter doesn't have to pay some third-party sanctioning body, anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 just to put a belt on a fighter, and call a fight a title fight. So, anyways, just a little bit of opinion with that. I really wanted to put out something on this day because if you know me, you know that back in 2008, I went down and I had what I would say was the coolest week of my boxing career. I fought on a card promoted by Crown Boxing, and it was, the really cool part about it, the really awesome part as a fighter, for the experience of it, is that they had us come in a week early, and they gave us, some fighters came in like a couple of days before, some of them were locals, but they had us come in a week early, put us up over at the Orleans, gave us hotel rooms and comp meals and whatnot. So it was kind of a mini vacation that we got to be there. Got to go out, meet some fighters. But Frank Luca, when he was doing these cards, the cool thing is that you go there, and on Thursday you went in and you did a press conference, and maybe a local TV station was there, and there were people from boxing publications, boxing websites, a couple of print boxing publications. And Frank would get up there and he would announce each fighter, and he would talk to us and find out things about us. So he would call us up. He would make a big introduction about to us, what we've done in our career, maybe a career highlight, whether it was professional or amateur. And then he would let us talk, and we would talk for a minute or two, and then go and sit back down. It really gave you the feel that you were a professional fighter. Then you went to the weigh-in. He'd have some of the same press people at the weigh-in and everything, taking a whole bunch of pictures. And then there was fight night. Then the other cool thing is you walk through, there were posters everywhere for the fights. Your name right there. You could some of the fighters' pictures. You go outside, you look at the electronic billboard at the Orleans, and you see your name up there. It really makes you feel like a true professional fighter. Now, on this night, let me give you a little backstory towards it. So, About 2 months before this fight card, Terry and Tommy Lane of Let's Get It On promotions or productions, they're referee Mills Lane's sons, and they were local boxing promoters in Reno. Since then, they've been managing and promoting some of the Chinese fighters. Zhili Zhang is one of the fighters that they bring up, but they were putting on a boxing card in my hometown that I grew up in at the fairgrounds, which is probably about half a mile away from the house that I grew up in. And they were going to put me on the card. They agreed to put me on the card. I was going to fight a guy named Jacob Chavez, is I believe who we were talking about having me fight. Everything was going good about that fight, and then I got a call and was offered this fight, and I decided, hey, I could do both of them because they were 2 weeks in between each other. I was told the guy I was fighting was going to weigh in at about 207 pounds and was about 5'8", 5'9". Now, I always felt more comfortable fighting somebody shorter than me, that I can keep them out on the jab, at the end of a jab and a straight right hand, and just outbox somebody like that. When I got to the press conference, I saw Eric Bozan walk into the press conference, and he wasn't 5'8" or 5'9". He was about 6'1", 6'2". We were close to the same height, but he was taller. But he was significantly bigger than what they said he was. He weighed in at the weigh-in at 248 pounds. He had come down from weighing 300 pounds when he first started training, and he was a really big guy. Kind of psyched me out a little bit. Then I kind of formulated what I needed to do, change strategies and whatnot. Anyways, we get into we get to fight night, and I'm standing there about to go out, and I've got my friend Derek Hinkey, and I've got my corner man there. We're getting ready to go out, and this guy, before we went into the back, this guy was selling Barack Obama shirts. Now, I wasn't a big Barack Obama supporter. However, I liked him. You got to remember, this is the year that he was elected president. He hadn't been president yet, so don't attack me on politics or anything. I thought I liked some of his messaging. He sounded really good. I like John McCain a little more in that election, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I did like the personality of Barack Obama, and I did think he was a very enthusiastic speaker. So this old guy's selling the shirts outside, and I decide, hey, I'll buy one of those shirts, and I buy it, and we're talking. I was like, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm gonna wear this shirt into the ring. So I put the shirt on, and we're standing out there. My music hits, and I start walking out, and everyone starts booing me. And my first thought is, man, these guys really don't like Barack Obama. However, then I realized, hey, no, wait, I'm the outside guy. I'm fighting Eric, who's from Las Vegas, and I'm the outside guy. They're booing me. And some of these guys were really ruthless. They were standing up, getting in my face, yelling stuff. So I started yelling stuff back. I'm playing to the crowd. I decide I'm going to be the ultimate villain, and I'm yelling at them. More people are getting into yelling at me back. And I turn around, I'm in the ring, and I'm yelling at the people. Your boy's going down tonight. Don't be surprised if this is over in the first round. Just things like that. they announce my name, Charles Presnell. I start, the boos start coming in, so I start, moving my arms, motioning them for them to boo louder because I like it. So of course they booed louder. We go out there. Referee was Joe Cortez, which is really cool. That such a legendary referee refereed one of my fights. We go out there, touch gloves, go out there, and Eric wasted no time. He just jumped on me and just started throwing leather. I tried throwing back a little bit, but he was pretty relentless on me. He landed one body shot that cracked some ribs. I know they were cracked because I couldn't sleep on that side of my body for the next 6 weeks. But yeah, it was a brutal assault that ended in 26 seconds. Eric Bozan, the winner. I talked to Carlos Medina, who does the color commentary for that, for Crown Boxing at the time, and I was talking to him at the after party, and he told me, I don't think I ever heard the crowd get that excited over a knockout ever. Basically because I stirred them up and got everybody against me, so when I got stopped, the good guy won. And, I went up, I raised Eric's hand, started motioning to cheer for him louder and everything. I had a lot of fun doing that. Even though I lost, I had a lot of fun still. Got out of the ring, got dressed and everything. My friend Simon Ruvalcaba had fought on the same card. I mentioned Simon on a different podcast, talked about him. He fought on the card, had to go to the hospital because he had took a lot of punches in his fight. So they took him to the hospital just to kind of get an MRI, make sure he was doing all right. So I got done, paid the guy who worked my corner, talked with Derek for a little bit, and he had to take off. Derek's had a lot of projects going on back then. He was an active fighter, so I understood. He had to go. He had to go do whatever he was doing, so that's fine. I'm going to talk about Derek here in a minute. I walk out, I talk to people and whatnot. Ran into Eric and Steve Bowe. Steve Bowe's a great guy. He's a great friend of mine now. One of the better guys I've met in boxing. Runs a great program down in Las Vegas. Follow him on Facebook. Follow Bo Boxing on Facebook because he does a lot of great things he's actually used to be a social worker before he got into boxing, and he does a lot of great things for a lot of people. Anyways, so I start talking with Eric, and Eric and I, we talked for about poker because he likes to play poker. We talked about a few other things, and he invited me to his after party. He's like, dude, man, we're having an after party over at the MGM. We're gonna be in the we got a table at the nightclub. We got bottle service. You should come with us. I had friends that had come into town to watch the fight. One of my best friends at the time, still real close with him. Anyways, he had just gotten married the week before. Him and his wife were coming back through. They stopped in Las Vegas and took in the fight. So I went to dinner with them, made sure Simon was all right. Simon went to dinner with us, and funny thing is we both had sore jaws, and Simon ordered fried calamari. And if you've ever had fried calamari, it's a real juicy, not juicy, but chewy snack appetizer. And yeah, we like the way it tastes, but yeah, with the sore jaws from getting hit so many times, it was kind of a punishing type of appetizer. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about that because one, it's a 17-year anniversary of that fight, but 2 years ago, unfortunately, we lost Eric Bozan. He passed away, and um, I didn't get a chance to really see him too much after our fight. We didn't communicate a lot after that. I got messages from him through Steve Bow. Steve wanted me to come up a few times to work with him because he had fallen off a little bit and started gaining a lot of the weight back, and he was hoping that I could come in and see him. So but life happens. Sometimes it's hard to get out and visit these people. But I always remember Eric. That was one of the most fun weeks of my life, and he was my partner in the ring. Another amusing anecdote about Eric is Tracy Spinks and I, we promoted a card where Eric was supposed to fight Gary Cobia, and Gary ended up. I mentioned on the Substack that Gary had tested positive for a banned substance, and he was suspended and couldn't get off a suspension for that fight. Eric had already bought his plane ticket, and Steve was bringing another fighter to fight on that card. So Eric came, and I remember sitting there with my wife selling tickets, and all of a sudden Eric and Gary are both standing above me doing the "What's up, Charles?" Both of the if you guys here in Utah have ever met Gary's one of the nicest people you can meet in boxing. Same with Eric, but they both are very big boys. So I look up and I'm like, man, how did I fight you two? Anyway, but I was excited to see both of them. Tomorrow on the 16th is also the anniversary of the final card that Tracy and I promoted over at the Davis Conference Center, and shortly before Tracy passed away. Definitely love Tracy. He was a great person. If you got to know him, you got to love him. So rest in peace, Tracy. Rest in peace, Eric. Love you guys. Not going to go into any of the stories on the August 16th card. I am working on a literary article on that one. Whether it goes on the Substack or it ends up being a book, we'll see where that goes. So I mentioned Derek Hinkey. The reason why I mentioned Derek Hinkey is a good friend of mine from Northern Nevada. He was a former boxer. He retired with a pretty good record. He was 9-3 as a professional. Coming up, he was promoted by Terry and Tommy Lane. And he looked like he was going to be the real deal, like a really good prospect. We were all hoping that he would be one that eventually fought for a world title. Unfortunately, he had some hand injuries, and that derailed his boxing career. But the reason why I mention him on the podcast here today is because he's turned into quite the actor. And a film that he was in that originally came out, but not in theaters, was called Americana, and it goes in theaters today. It was his first big acting project. And so definitely, if it is in your if it's available in a theater near you, definitely go check it out. Um, it's a American well, I'll read it directly from Wikipedia. Americana is a 2023 American crime thriller written and directed by Tony Tost in his film debut. It stars Sydney Sweeney, Paul Walter Hauser, Hazley, Eric Dane, Zahn McLaren, and Simon Rex. Premise: numerous people in South Dakota find their lives violently intertwined while fighting for an expensive ghost shirt. But yeah, Derek's in that fight. In that movie. Another place you might have seen Derek Hinkey is American Primeval on Netflix. Definitely check that out, especially since most of the people who listen to my podcast are out of Utah. That has a lot of historical ties to Utah, and I do have an article that I've been working on. I wrote it, rewrote it. It's based on an interview interview questions that Derek answered for me, and I'm gonna submit that to Boxing Talk over the weekend. So knowing how Boxing Talk works, it'll probably come out middle of next week. But yeah, that's something that's going to be coming out. Watch for that. I will link that in the Substack. So if you're not a member, if you're not a subscriber to the Substack, go and subscribe. But yeah, Derek is a very good person. He's a former boxer. Almost fought in Utah a couple of times. Tried to get him out on a couple of cards. Talked to him about possibly fighting a couple of the Utah cards in the past. But yeah, he's definitely one to watch. So yeah, try to go out and see Americana if it's not in a theater near you and you can't get to watch it. Check out American Primeval on Netflix. I know a lot of you all have Netflix now. We're going to be filming the next podcast on location. We're going to be doing that tomorrow on the 16th, and I'll release that next week. It's going to be on location. Cisco and Doug are going to be joining me on that. We're going to be at Cisco's Barbershop, Knockout Cuts, downtown Ogden. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about Cisco's career as a boxer and an MMA fighter. Fierce Fighting Championships has a card at the Maverick Center this weekend. If you want to go watch some good fights, go check that out. I think I mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago. It might have even been the last podcast. I'm going to try to get to more of these events. Definitely going to be at the boxing events. I'm going to try to get to some of the MMA. I was looking on my Facebook memories about a week ago, and I had a memory from 12 years ago where I wrote, I just watched a UFC card. I can't even remember what number now. And what I realize is I love boxing and I really like MMA. So if I don't talk enough MMA on this, don't go into it a whole lot, that's why is I have a passion for boxing. I have a lot of MMA. I have a lot of like for, I guess you could say. I'm gonna try to get some other people, maybe some guest columnists or guest people to do the podcast to talk about what's going on in MMA. You all have seen the new UFC deal with Paramount. That's pretty exciting. The end of pay-per-view. Well, not end. I think Dana White did say that there will be some pay-per-views, but and maybe once or twice a year. But that's gonna sit. That's awesome because it saves us, the consumers, money towards watching the sport. It creates bigger stars in UFC and MMA, and it probably gives more and higher money making opportunities. I saw one facetious article that mentioned that there's no obligation to pay fighters more money, even though they have this new contract, which is definitely true. All the fighters that are under contract, all of a sudden they don't necessarily get a bump in their current contract just because TKO's making more money, but they definitely have leverage in their next contract, or newly contracted fighters to ask for more money in those contracts because there's more money coming into the promotion. Those are things that we could. I'm gonna talk more with Cisco and Doug. Appreciate everybody for listening. Definitely look forward to the podcast this weekend, and definitely get a hold of Jason, Monica, or your favorite fighter that you see that's going to be fighting on the All Heart card. Get some tickets. I 100% want to see 1,000 plus there. That way we could really start watching local boxing flourish. Anyways, take care, and we'll talk to you later.